Call to order the regular City Council meeting for Monday, October 17th, 5:30 PM, City Council Chambers. Please silence your cell phones to limit interruptions as we move forward on the agenda. Let's go with the roll call.
Evans?
Here.
Janser?
Here.
Olson?
Here.
Pittner?
Here.
Padragula?
Here.
Ross?
Here.
Striley?
Here.
Nice. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, helping us lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Scout Troop 5401. I ran into them doing a fundraiser at one of our local grocery stores, and I thought it'd be a wonderful opportunity to have this female Scout Troop come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I'll turn it over to them. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Scouts attention. Scouts salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Scouts dismissed.
And I think they're going to stay around to witness some government in action. So, anyways, let's move on to the mayor's report. Item number 3 on the agenda. Had a pretty busy couple weeks or week and a half since the last meeting. We had the Minot State Board of Regents meeting and homecoming activities this last weekend. I did have the opportunity to speak to an 8th grade class at Ramstead and the 2nd graders at John Hoven Elementary. We did some brainstorming and can look forward to some fun, some good ideas coming out of that class, the 2nd graders. Pursuit Church invited me over for the Day of Hope, and what an incredible opportunity it was to witness the community and pulling together for just a remarkable event. I think it's their 3rd annual one. During a homecoming, we also had 150 of my Sigma Tau Gamma fraternity brothers in town for the 58-year reunion. Also attended Task Force 21 Chamber Board meeting and welcomed educators and administrators this weekend to the Literacy Association of North Dakota conference held at Central Campus. So pretty busy time, and it was a lot of fun. Any questions? Let's move on to the city manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as always, included in the packet is the city manager report, fairly extensive from the department heads. Also includes a report and update from the retail coach on their efforts with regards to recruiting retailers into the community. And also on the dais is a printed copy of your approved 2023 annual budget for your records. But I'd be happy to answer any questions if the council has any.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to item 5. That's the consider the report to the Planning Commission. Moving on to 5.1, major subdivision preliminary plat, Riverwood 3rd edition, presented by John Van Dyke. What are the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Moved by Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Any discussion? If not, call the roll.
Janser?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Striley?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Moving on to item 6, consent items. We were asked to pull 6.8. Are there any other items to be pulled? Councilman Striley or Councilman Pittner?
I've got nothing, Mayor.
Okay. If not, what are the wishes of the council?
Move approval on the remaining items.
We have a motion to approve the remaining 15 items. Is there a second? Second by Mark. Discussion? Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Striley?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Janser?
Yes.
Moving on to the remaining item, 6.8, authorize execution of the Big M Building Flex Pace documents presented by Brian Billingsley. And Brian, do you want to talk us through this one?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Ross and members of the council. Our interim city attorney is recommending that we include in your motion to make the finance director, Dave Lakefield, the authorized representative for the flex pace documents that you will be approving this afternoon. I stand for any questions if you have any.
So would that just be an amendment to the motion once again? Or is it just,
Somebody would have to make the motion.
right, okay.
So do we have to make the motion with Dave listed, or can we just do it as we authorize the execution of Bank of North Dakota Flex Pace documents for Big M?
My recommendation would be is that the council makes a motion to approve as presented and recommended by staff, including a recommendation that Dave Lakefield, the finance director, be authorized to execute the documents on behalf of the city. This is similar to what we did with the port agreement with their flex pace loan as well. So we do have a precedent for doing it that way.
Yep.
So I make the motion that Harold just said.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion, any questions? If not, call the roll.
Evans?
Yes.
Janser?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Striley?
Yes.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Let's move on to action items. 7.1, 21st Avenue Northwest Sidewalk, 9th Street to Lakeside Drive. What are the recommendations of the council?
I have a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Gary?
I spoke to Mr. Meyer this afternoon just to make sure I was like sort of understanding what he was asking us to do. So I think the motion is to direct the city engineer to move forward on planning this project and return to council with a plan of action, including any cost-sharing partners in early 2023. At that time, council will provide additional direction for the project.
That's the motion.
Yep.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Lance? do you have-
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm just here to answer any questions you may have on the report as a resource.
So the reasoning behind the motion language really was, I don't think we don't know what we don't know yet. And so I think as far as, whether or not this project, I think it's ideal, right? Minot Parks has the park up there. It's right down the street from the new school. Is there cost-sharing opportunities there? What it would look like if it was phased in versus all done in one fall swoop. So I think, and Mr. Meyer said this would be enough direction, right? Go out, sort of get a more detailed plan, come back to us. We're not committing anything right now, but come back to us, in early 2023 with all those different variations and factors. And then, we can decide the further direction, putting it in the CIP, funding it, in installments, funding it in a fall swoop. But we just don't know really all of the information right now. So that's why the motion is sort of in that vague kind of language, but giving enough direction to our engineering department to do what they need to do to give us the direction and answers that we need to move forward. Does that comport with what we talked about?
Spot on.
Lisa?
Yes, thank you, Lance. Do you have staff to be able to complete what Alderwoman Evans has proposed at this point? I know at one point in that document you talked about bringing on a consultant, but was that for further work after this, or where are you at with staff?
Mr. Mayor and Alderwoman Olson, I think from our standpoint, we can have those conversations with our other funding partners. We can develop this a little bit further if we want. I think If we wanted to do a project in '23, we're not resourced to do that. Our workload's kind of set for next year. In '24, I think we may be able to do that if we start the design early enough. Otherwise, we may have to consult it out. This is a little simpler of a sidewalk project because we're not looking, at this time anyway, at federal funds. So the administration level that's required to do a project like this goes down significantly. So this is one we could probably handle in-house if we do it with city resources and we do maybe like a '24 or beyond project.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? If not, please call the roll.
Evans?
Yes.
Janser?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Striley?
Yes.
Moving on to item 7.2, a 30-yard roll-off tank. What are the recommendations? What are the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mark.
I move the recommendation.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Any questions? If not, please call the roll.
Janser?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Striley?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Moving on to item 8 on the agenda. Personal appearances. This is a time for anyone to who wishes to speak to the council to come up to the microphone.
My name is Scott Samuelson. Been a resident of Minot for 33 years. Mr. Mayor and City Council, I was here at the September 19th City Council meeting to voice my opinion on and object to the uncontrolled spending, property tax increase, and the 2023 budget. The last thing I left you with was, I hope you are listening. To my disappointment, at the following council meeting, one member of this council said, I tend not to listen. And those who have opposing views are keyboard warriors, people who hate progress or new things. I find this offensive and wrong on so many levels. In the City of Minot Council Handbook, the City of Minot Employee Handbook, and the 2023 proposed budget, there is a flow chart titled Minot Organizational Chart. At the top of this chart is in the biggest box is residents. Below that, in smaller boxes, are the mayor, city council, city manager, and so on. As residents, we have the right and the responsibility to express our objections or disapproval on spending projects referred to as investments in our community, like the unpopular $1 million Wayfinder signage program. And the city council and city leaders have the obligation to listen. When residents and taxpayer money is invested, there is an expected return to residents on that investment. We don't need to be sold. We need honesty, facts, and a return on investment. As I stated at the September 19th meeting, my estimated property assessment increased $27,000. Understanding that you couldn't lower that value, but to let you know that even without a mill levy increase, my taxes were gonna go up, just like they have for 29 years that I have owned a home in Minot. The assessment value of properties in Minot is set by the City of Minot, specifically the city assessor. It is not your neighbors, as one city council member stated. The assessor's office is required by law to set these assessments. It is correct, past property sales in Minot are used to calculate these values. They also use the age, size, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, lot size, improvements, and condition of the property. Our neighbors have no control over that. Property tax is a broken and unfair system. I believe eventually it will be changed or done away with by the citizens of North Dakota. It would be in the best interest of the city of Minot to reduce or possibly eliminate the city portion of mill levy on property tax. It would be a great incentive for people to move here, invest here, and continue to live here in Minot. What an example for the rest of the state. Every city would want to be like Minot instead of Minot wanting to be like other cities. Uncontrolled spending causing higher property taxes is Minot's biggest problem. Mr. Mayor, City Council, you can do so much better for the community of Minot. Thank you for letting me speak, and again, I hope you're listening.
Anyone else wishing to address the council? If not, we will move on to item number 9.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to respond.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I just want it to be known that that is not the quote that was stated at the last council meeting. It's about a quarter of what was said. What was said was in response to Alderwoman Olson saying that she had heard from and was in reference to social media comments to the project and the disdain. That was my response to the keyboard warrior. The same 6 or 7 people that comment negatively on Facebook Live streams, just as much as there's a responsibility of the council members to the taxpayers and taxpayer dollars, there is a responsibility of citizens to be educated on the budget, to be learned on the budget. I haven't received a phone call in response to that comment. My number is 701-500-3500. I welcome the phone call. If someone wants to understand my perspective on things or my perspective on any budget item, I welcome it. I don't hide from it. I do listen. I listen very well. I take it very seriously, the responsibility. I wouldn't be at the dais. I wouldn't be on council if I didn't. So again, there is a responsibility on individuals, citizens of Minot, to be educated, to listen to the meeting instead, not just rely on a half-hearted quote that they heard at a coffee club. So again, I'll leave my comments at that, but if anybody wants to converse to more in a deeper level, again, my number is 701-500-3500.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else? If not, let's move on to miscellaneous and discussion items. I know, Lisa, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Where's yours?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this is a nice segue after personal appearances, because we do listen. I mean, whether it's from someone speaking at a meeting or emailing us or calling us, we do listen. And I had a very interesting email from a resident a few days ago, and I think what he was saying reflects what a lot of people in Minot and the area are experiencing, and that is delays in their mail service from the United States Postal Service. I think we can all assume that it is probably a shortage of staff. I think that's what we've heard. But the recommendation that this gentleman had made, and I would like to extend this invitation, is to ask the postmaster to come to the next city council meeting and just kind of give us an update. We are fully aware that we have no authority over the USPS, but I think it would be helpful if we could hear from the postmaster and get a little better understanding. And I think it will help people plan a little bit better too in this gentleman's incident or situation, I should say. Both he and his wife are relying on medications to be delivered. And when there's a 3 or 4 day delay, that can have, negative effects, obviously, in their household. So I'm offering the invitation to the postmaster. I'm hoping that this message gets to that person and that they could be put on the agenda for the next city council meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. Anyone else? Okay. Let's move on to liaison reports, and I'll start with the council members that are on the phone. Paul, do you want to start us off?
I've got nothing, Mr. Mayor.
How about you, Roscoe?
Zoning Steering Committee is this Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Steve?
Thank you. I was not able to attend the Emergency Resource Council meeting or the Commission on Aging meeting. I've been doing some doctoring out of town, as they say, but nothing major has happened. I did want to remind people that the consultant has issued a preliminary report and draft map for zoning and land use purposes. This is from the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, and it's available on the city website. There was a meeting, I think, on September 30th, at which they presented the plan. And it's available for review and comment, and they will be back in early January. We're trying to set up a meeting time now to go over it and finalize their proposal. It's kind of a big deal because it will determine the growth patterns and land use patterns for this community probably for the next 25 or so years. So if you want to see what the process is leading up toward, very, very close to the end, please consult that website page and provide whatever feedback you would like to provide. All of us on that committee are doing our best to listen.
Lisa?
Two different items, Mr. Mayor. The first is I chaired the September 21st City County Parks and School Liaison Committee meeting. We had a pretty light agenda, but we did discuss nuisance properties that lie in the 2-mile extraterritorial area. We had just discussion related to that. Brian Billingsley is going to bring us some more information at the January meeting, so maybe we can make more of a recommendation following that. And then we also took a few minutes just to discuss the upcoming election and some of the details related to that. And then I attended the Souris Basin Planning Council Executive Board meeting on October 11th. The board appointed me to serve on the Souris Basin Planning Committee Loan Review Committee. This came up in discussion a few months ago at a city council meeting, largely due to the fact the Loan Review Committee has the authority to approve the business accelerator loan applications. They meet monthly. The Magic Fund has twice awarded funding to the BAF program, but until now the BAF committee did not have a representative from the city of Minot. So any appointments to that committee must be approved by the Souris Basin Planning Council Executive Board, which did happen. And if anyone is curious, that board, the city of Minot has a seat on that board, a permanent seat. So anyway, we do have representation on the executive board. Now we have representation on the BAF committee.
Thank you. Carrie?
So my official committees meet this week, but I do have two sort of. So on last week, I met Assistant Director Sorensen out at Public Works Director out at the landfill to take a look at the building of the transfer facility for recycling and the new entrance, and it's coming along. It's the big steel things are up and they're covering it, so that will still on task for summer of 2023, hopefully. Public Works has hired, I don't know the title, but the person for recycling, the recycling manager, is that what it is, Jason? Coordinator. So that person will be, transitioning in. It's an internal Public Works employee, so she will be transitioning out of her current position into that. So that's a huge step forward for recycling. The entrance, the new entrance is almost done, so everything is looking good out there, and I encourage you to go visit our landfill. And second, I will be representing council on Friday at the panel interviews for the city attorney position. So there is a member of the bar from the city, there is a HR director, city manager, and Mayor Ross, who are on that committee. So hopefully we have 3 candidates to interview. We will have one and be able to offer them a position and have a new city attorney in place in the coming months.
Steve?
I wanted to, if I could add on to my report, what Carrie said jogged my memory. I wanted to compliment and thank John McMartin, the President Emeritus of the Chamber of Commerce / MACEDC, for giving me a tour of the intermodal facility and our industrial park. Carrie had received one earlier. And that made me a little bit jealous, and I have good reason to be jealous because there's a great deal going on out there. I wanted to thank John for taking 2 hours out of his day to update me, to brief me. We went rail crossing by rail crossing and plot of land by plot of land, and I have a much better understanding of how important this is for the community and the region, in fact, our entire state. And I wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank John and MAC EDC for their assertive efforts to improve that part of our economic development picture. It really is a tremendous resource, and until you actually see it, until you actually see the rails and the trucks and the containers, it's difficult to appreciate how important this really is. So I wanted to publicly thank John and the Chamber for their efforts, and also city staff for their role in this. I've always supported it, I always thought it was an important thing, but after actually having seen it, experienced it, it really is amazing. It just opens up all sorts of opportunities for us, and really puts us at a tremendous competitive advantage over the bigger cities in the state, which sometimes seem to get better press than we do, although the exception right now being Grand Forks with their fiasco regarding the corn plant. But anyway, thankfully, we don't have things like that, and we have a movement in a positive direction and a really, really important and valuable facility. So thank you, Carrie, for prompting me to
No,
get
Jason's
my own tour.
available for tours of the landfill too, so
Yeah.
if you wanna.
Did you have anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All of mine was covered in the mayor's report, so, Mark?
Nothing more to report at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Next on the agenda is adjournment.
Wait, did Roscoe call?
Oh, yeah, they both did. They both did theirs. Yeah, yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? We are adjourned.
Broke a record.